Hi, welcome back. We are at 1 Samuel 13 to 14:23. And, it's so hard to do Bible reflections on such cool passages of Scripture in 3 minutes. I got to tell you, this has been like a great discipline for me to keep it short and sweet. But there's two basic things I think today that have stood out for me. One is Saul's presumption, and that costs him, of course, his kingship for his family as well. And God chooses another as a result. And Samuel, it's a fascinating thing because sometimes we just think some things don't matter. I have a tendency to really rush in to stuff. I just think it's a no-brainer. Samuel's late. Something held him up. So then, hey, we'll just do the sacrifice and then off we go. It's just like a thing we have to get through to get to the actual battle. And I forget sometimes that actually the battle really is the Lord's. And so it is worth waiting for God. And Samuel is a representation of the prophet, of the one that speaks for the Lord. And Saul rushes in with no need to wait for him. And Samuel says this is an indication that your priorities are off. And so your kingdom's not going to be established, sorry to say. And it's kind of this weird thing, and he goes ahead and he does the sacrifice, which of course he's not anointed or ready or prepared or clean to do. And it's sort of like an irreverency, but also it's like his priorities are in the wrong spot. And it's a revelation of that. And so my challenge to you is just to make sure that you're waiting on the Lord, that you're surrendered on Him, that it doesn't become about you. It always consistently comes back to God, what He wants you to do, to wait for the word, to wait for the timing, to wait for His perfect timing. And that's a tricky business. That's hard, especially in our world that's so frenzied and busy. And we're like, well, am I anointed or am I not anointed? Well, you can still be anointed and be out of time, be there at the wrong time, So to learn to submit to the ultimate authority and timing of the Lord is a tricky business, but that's a lesson from Saul. And then there's this incredible thing Jonathan does, this daring plan, which I just love, because he's just like, the Philistines are obviously the winners in this scenario so far. They're in charge. They're oppressing the Israelites, and the Israelites are hiding because they don't really even have proper weapons. It's not only an unfair fight, it's a completely imbalanced fight, and the Philistines are mostly just making fun of the Israelites. And Jonathan sneaks away and says, maybe we could pick our own fight. There's only a couple of swords anyway in all of Israel, so he's got one of them. So he takes his armor bearer and he goes to scout out the land. And he says, when we see Philistines, this will be our sign. I love this, actually, because with the sign that Jonathan set up is either way he's going to fight, right? So he's either going to fight and die or he's going to fight and win. That's the way he sets it up. And he says, if they call us to fight, we'll consider that a sign that we're supposed to fight. I love that. The guy's just born a warrior, And so they call him up, and sure enough, they go to fight, and the Spirit of the Lord is on him. And in that one act, he comes up against 20 men, and they kill the 20 men by the Spirit of the Lord, and just by sheer physical strength, I guess, as well. And then that starts something else that actually wins the entire battle for all of Israel. The Philistines are thrown into confusion, an earthquake happens, and the Lord just completely wipes out the enemy. And it's evidence that what the obedience and the fearlessness of one guy can do. Jonathan just literally is like, bring it, let's do this thing. He's just a warrior. He's fully in. And that kind of spirit can really literally put a whole enemy army to flight. And that's what we see in this story. I love it. So don't be presumptuous, but by all means be fearless when the Lord's with you.